What's up? Welcome back to the podcast. I am so glad that you're here today. I am really excited about this episode. I feel super passionate about this and was like, what an excellent thing to talk about. In last week's episode talking about the summer solstice and taking advantage of this energy of the summer and it feels really, I don't know, exciting and playful. And yeah, I mean, we're coming into, I think when this is released, it'll be Leo season, question mark. Yes. I'm like, over here, I'm like, no, Cancer. Our Cancers are first before our Leos. Yes, yes, yes. There we go. Yep, it'd be Cancer season. So, I mean, that gives us a little more nurturing, homey, mothery vibes. Leo season, end of July. There we go. I'm like, I knew I was off there. So, but as I record this, we are still in Gemini season. So, I'm like, the perfect caveat for communication of this very important thing. So, I'm going to argue that the most important piece, well, yeah, okay, the most important piece of your human design is your energy type. So I'm assuming if you're listening, you know about human design. If you don't, I will give a very short blurb of like my perspective and how I see human design, and honestly only discovered the modality couple years ago, 3 years ago. So I'm like, this information would have been so helpful like earlier in my life. But I'm grateful that, well, now I know. Now I know. And moving forward, things are better. So human design. So it really comes off of astrology a little bit. And I think it's the Chinese I Ching. I really apologize if I'm saying that wrong. But there's a couple different like ancient modalities that weave into human design, because basically it's this chart. It would be really cool if I had one right in front of my face, but your body is made up of energy centers, and it's kind of similar to the chakra system, but there are, I believe, 9 energy centers in human design. Again, don't quote me on that. You can obviously look all this information up online, and it has similar ones as our, like your chakra system. And the energy centers, depending on, place, time of birth, where you were born, that's gonna, affect your astrology, where everything is. And then that kind of feeds into the human design chart, and it is got like a body graph. It doesn't look like an actual body. It's got the different energy centers, and they kind of look like triangles and squares depending on which one it is. If you notice, I keep looking up because I have mine actually printed out. I could take it off the wall. Look at that, because I'm a nerd. YouTubers. Oh, there's my face. But human design chart. It's got your different energy centers, and then you have, so on each side, there is like your subconscious and your conscious. Although, I mean, it says like design and personality. And these are all your like planet placements and like, North Node, Moon, all the different planets, Jupiter, blah, blah, blah. And I had learned that they're different. So the subconscious side is like those numbers are taken from a certain number of days before you were born, which is like crazy. I don't know the whole history or background before that. And then the personality is really like from the day you were born. And there's a bajillion different things in human design, I feel like. It could be very overwhelming. I know when I first looked at this, I was like, what the hell am I looking at? Because you'll notice there's all kinds of numbers, and you can pull up your chart online anywhere. I'm going to put a link in the show notes, the website I like to use a lot, and you will see it'll have, depending upon, the platform you use, it's going to have your basic stuff like your type, strategy, inner authority, signature, not self, theme, definition, profile, and incarnation cross. And then each energy center has these different numbers, which are called gates. And if you have gates colored in, well, is that how we want to say it? Yeah, they're colored in. Those are your gifts in this lifetime. And then the energy centers that are colored in are centers where you always have the energy. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit when we talk about type, because that's the thing. I don't know if spoiler alert, that's what I want to talk about. Your human design energy type is so important to know. If you do not know that, you are running around probably feeling burnt out, like with a chicken with its head cut off. I don't even know how to explain it. And that's how, and a bigger piece, if you are a non-sacral being, we live in a sacral society, and the world is operated by manifesting generators and generators. And so if you are a non-sacral manifestor, projector, or reflector, you probably really feel this and are wondering, why do I feel so tired? Or why do I feel so burnt out? Or why don't I seem to have the energy that everyone in my life has? It's because you don't. Simply put, it's because you don't. Okay, so if you don't know your type right now, I want you to pause this or do whatever, or keep listening if you're from the car, driving, or on a walk. Look it up later after the episode and maybe come back. But figure out your energy type. That is going to help you so much. And that's a really good building block to some of the other points that I like to bring up in human design. But if you're not flowing in alignment with how your body is supposed to work energetically, nothing else is going to pan out for you in that sense. Like nothing else is going to maybe be working as smoothly as it should if you are not operating how your energy type is supposed to operate. So I want to share an example of my own life because I am a rare energy type. I am a manifestor. And I've had this conversation with people in my life. I think initially when people hear that, they assume you're good at manifesting, or you like to manifest things, or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no. That's the name of the type. So you've got your 5 types. You've got generators, manifesting generators, projectors, manifestors, and reflectors. So I obviously did not know this information until, like I said, a couple years ago. And I didn't realize how cool it was either until I started pulling charts of everyone in my family, everyone in my husband's family, because I was like, okay, I want to know this stuff. And then I kept pulling everyone's type. And since I was naive and really didn't know what I was talking about at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, like, why does everyone say generator, manifesting generator, generator, manifesting generator? I'm like, that's so weird. And then lo and behold, I'm like, okay, because 66 or 67% of the population is one of those types. A majority of the world is like that. And being a generator or a manifesting generator, you have a defined sacral center. So your sacral center is where all the energy is at. That's where you get that energy you get up in the morning, you got a full tank of gas, you're ready to go. That is how you are feeling if you're not burnt out. On the other, the flip side for manifesting generators and generators is that you guys also need to know how to say no. And whoa, that's not an orb, that's an actual fly. Go away, shoo, fly. But you need to, if that's one of your energy types, you're apt to say yes to a lot of things just because you are able to do so. You have that energy and you're like, okay, I could do that. I could do that. And you end up saying yes to a lot of shit you really don't want to do. Taking the time to really, maybe not taking the time, but like sitting with decisions and the fact that, like, do you actually want to do this? Does this light you up? Because if a manifesting generator or generator is lit up about something and actually wants to do something, that's awesome. That is wonderful for our society. They are the builders. You guys are the builders. You take that energy and you freaking go. And a lot of us are conditioned like that. That is how, just growing up, it was, where you're doing all these things. And I try to look back in my own life. I'm curious. I do need to talk to my mom and dad about this. So mom, if you're listening, remind me. Like how I was as a child. I'm very curious to how I was, like, from someone on the outside looking in. I would love to like interact with a manifestor child because their energy is going to be different. And I think both of my brothers are generators. I know my mom is a projector though, so she also is a non-sacral. Maybe I should have looked that up before I got on this podcast. So the family dynamics like that are really interesting because I do know those of like my own household. So like I'm a manifestor. My husband is a generator or a manifesting generator, one of the two. Oh man, I'm doing bad. And then my kids, I don't remember which is but one of my kids is manifesting generator and one is a generator. So I've got all this sacral energy around me and I can get overwhelmed, definitely, easily. But I give myself grace with that and knowing that it is okay for me to want alone time and actually need alone time too. So, I mean, back to the, me kind of figuring this all out is I was conditioned to work hard, keep, like going, keep going, and just pushing through any maybe tiredness and that rest isn't productive. And shit, I am still working on that to this day. It's hard for me to sit down. As a mother, I said that funny, as a mother to two young kids, running the household, selling real estate, doing readings, helping people with their lives. I've got a lot going on in a good way. Like I really enjoy it. I'm very happy with it. But I need to be better about, my rest cycle because fun fact, manifestor friends. So, I mean, if you're a manifestor listening to this or you know any manifestors in your life, our rest cycles are going to be like, this blew my mind, around 80% of the time. And our energy is going to be housed in about 20% of the time for us, which I read that multiple times. And do I question where this person got their statistics? Yes. Although she has been doing human design for over a decade. She's also a manifestor. She works with, so it was the girl who wrote, oh my gosh, the book I just read. It's called Informed and it's just specifically for manifestors. I want to leave a link to that too, because if you're a manifestor, you have to read that book. Buy it and read it, highlight it, take notes. Seriously, it changes how you look at things. And then it honestly makes you not feel as bad for the things that you have done in the past or wanting to rest or wanting to do X, Y, and Z and your crazy ideas and blah, blah, blah. Truly, it's a wonderful book. So I'll leave that in the show notes as well. I'm not sponsored, but I wholeheartedly love the book and so glad that I bought it. But what was I talking about? Like the statistics. So, I mean, she runs her own business and she's like a manifestor community, which is so cool. So I followed that page, I don't know, like shortly after I figured out that was my energy type. It's so fun to see the post and like you read something, you're like, that's me. I totally relate to that. And then other people having, the same type as you and they just get it. And so she actually hired a team. Everyone that works for her is either a manifestor or projector. So all non-sacrals, which is like, how are you going to get any work done? But she proved that you can run a 6 or 7 figure business and have non-sacrals be in charge of everything. But the way that things are run is a little differently than how somebody else might do that. So that piece was so interesting to me. And man, I honestly wish I would have got the books. I don't know why it just happened. When things just happen, it's, I've been part of that community following it. And I don't know what the hell made me think, oh, I just need to get that now. I don't know if it was a post or something that came up. And oh, I'm so glad I did. I highly recommend it if you're a manifestor. Buy it. Not sponsored, but it was so good. And again, knowing your energy type is going to help you so much because as a manifestor, so like, yeah, you're kind of probably like, what does that even mean for you? So for me, we've got these really big rest cycles and 20% of the time we're initiating and creating. And that is our strategy to, initiate and create things and inform other people of what we're doing. So basically, we do not like to ask for permission. We do not like other people telling us what to do. I was like, oh, that tracks. And we are here to go first. We are literally here to go first, which I think is funny because I am the firstborn in my family. And I know that when I was younger, if we had a new game or anything, especially computer game, you'd get like the disc and you'd stick it in the computer. It'd be like Roller Coaster Tycoon or The Sims. I made my little brothers watch me because I had to go first and I wanted to build and create. I loved that shit. Those games were so fun. I think they're actually still out there and available to you if you want to play them ever. But I was always obsessed with The Sims. I loved building houses. I loved controlling the people. That's so funny. And my best friend growing up and still friends to this day, yeah, we were just like, we would play Sims all of the time and we loved it. And yeah, and it was like the original one, that was like the graphics were terrible. And yeah, now it's like totally different and crazy. But that tracks for, I'm trying to like remember more pieces of my childhood where I'm like, okay, that totally tracks my manifestor energy. But in corporate America or when I worked at the bank, it tracks in the fact that my manifestor energy I always had ideas to make things better or create new things. And I don't know that I did that so much as at the bank, because I don't know, processes there are kind of, I don't know, they're kind of just like set in stone a little bit, if that makes sense. But at my other job, when I was working more in like project management, oh yeah, like all the time I'd be coming up with these crazy ideas and I had a hard time like letting my babies go, the things I had created or made or whatever. But I didn't like people telling me what to do. Or, if somebody questions you, you're like, no, I know I'm right. I have this weird intuition thing. I just know. So, as a manifestor, you can have different inner authorities, and you're either emotional, and I read this all in the book. I just read this recently. You're either emotional, splenic, or, my gosh, ego for your inner authority. You would never have a sacral inner authority, like a gut feeling thing, because that would be somebody with a defined sacral. So I thought that information was interesting. So for me, I am a splenic manifestor, which is actually the rarest type. Again, you take your manifestors and you take how they best make decisions. You split that three ways. You take that 9% of the population of manifestors, split that three ways. A little tiny bit of us, it's not evenly split because a majority, I think, are emotional or ego. And then a little tiny sliver of us are splenic manifestors. And I'm like, another rarity in my life. But it just means that I'm really meant to listen to my intuition, which is like a little soft ping. And I've been working, especially recently too, on how exactly that comes in for me personally. And if you want to figure out again, if you don't know your inner authority, that's something that you would look up with your human design chart. But I'm not going to focus that much on that because I want you to know your energy type. I want you to live, breathe, sleep your energy type. I want you to, if you don't do anything with it, like if you know it now, I want you to look it up more, like do more research. There are tons of cool businesses on Instagram that are specific to human design. There are, like I said, there are pages. Honestly, I don't know about the other types. I'm sure there are now, but there are pages that are specifically for manifestors. I'm sure there's stuff specifically for projectors. And a lot of the times, the human design gurus will make posts and it'll be, and I share them a lot of the times too, because I really relate to what my energy type says. And I know that allows people to click on it and then find their energy type too, which is super helpful. And it's just little posts like I pulled this one up that I really liked. And this is pertaining to manifestors. But we need to release, as a manifestor, release the fear of going first, release reluctance to disrupt the status quo, Release guilt about resting for days or weeks. Release seeking approval. Release narratives about being seen as a team player. Release shame for past initiatives not fully panning out. We need to increase time in solitude, direct communication, that throat chakra. Manifestors usually have throat chakra wounding, and that's a big thing for us. And I heavily relate to that in my own life. Increase trust in your creative urges, courage in bringing your visions to life, openness to informing those close to you, and decisive action without waiting for permission. And those are great. Like posts like, I love that. I eat that shit up. I love posts like that. So I'm like, okay, yes, this is another awesome thing that I, could screenshot that shit, incorporate it, set it as your freaking background, put it in a little widget on your phone. I have some stuff like that too. I have like little widgets. You can do that with photos and screenshot some of those cool things about your energy type. Have it in your phone where you can look at it all the time. I think that's super helpful. And especially if you're just starting out and you're not really sure what you should do or how would you follow your energy type? Start by just exploring more, see what comes up for you. Set the intention that you want to learn more about it and you want to be guided to people or businesses that can really help you embrace and be more in alignment with your energy type. Because that has, again, been the most important thing for me to, one, really start to feel better, not feel so crazy for like always having these urges and these creative urges that come up for us, whether it be, something small or a really big thing like me, like, oh, I'm just going to quit my job and I'm going to start a couple businesses and see what happens. Like, that's a big one. And again, when I talk about that percentage of, for a manifestor, 80% of the time they're resting and 20% of the time they're creating and initiating and having those creative urges, and that's their creative cycle. We can get more shit done in 2 weeks than some people can get done in months and a year. That is why it is so pertinent for a manifestor to have that rest cycle. And it's going to look different for everyone, and you've got to start trusting, you have to start trusting your rest cycle and your creative urges, because when those are going to pop up. And as a manifestor, I highly recommend you start to keep track of when you are feeling those creative urges and wanting to stay up really late at night and still getting up in the morning. You're like, oh, okay, we can still work on this. And when you start to kind of lose interest or get a little bored with what you have started to create, that's when you're headed for a rest cycle, and you might need to rest before you get that thing completed. Maybe that thing never gets completed. Maybe that thing gets passed on to a generator, the thing that you have initially created, your little baby, your little idea. It gets passed on to a generator, a manifesting generator, who's going to help bring it to life. Or you pass it on to a projector who's going to really give you great guidance and feedback. And then, reflectors are on kind of after all of that has happened. Reflectors reflect back to us how that thing has helped or what it has done for society, blah, 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 blah. I have never met a projector. That's a lie. I haven't met a reflector yet that I've actually pulled their stuff for. I'm sure there is a reflector in my life. It's hard to, sometimes I play this game where I try to figure out people's energy types. Without knowing anything. And that's kind of hard too, especially if somebody's conditioned. So a lot of the times I kind of assume people are conditioned to that generator or manifesting generator, and you assume everyone kind of leans towards that type, because a lot of us are conditioned to work that way. And when you're deconditioning and try to unlearn those things you have learned, then you can tell those people that are, initiating, creating, like the rest. And you're like, oh shit, that person's a manifester. And then, the projectors are about 30% of the population, also non-sacral beings. They cannot go, but they're really great at giving guidance to the rest of us and seeing the whole picture of things. And then again, reflectors, bless them, that little 1%. Again, I can't wait. Also, if you're in my audience and you're a reflector, I would love to connect. I just think that's so cool. Anyways, there's my ramble. my little ramble, my exciting ramble. I hope you took something away from it. If you don't take anything away, the one thing I want you to take away is energy type. Look up your energy type. Stop what you're doing. Figure that out and then really start to explore it. And I mean, my words of advice for the things that I know, like generators and manifesting generators, start learning how to say no to things. What is actually lighting you up? What are you really excited about? When you are really excited about something, you do have that energy to push through and build and keep going. And on the, with the manifestors and the projectors and the reflectors, we're going to need more rest than our sacral friends. You'll notice that too. Those are probably the people in your life that get socially burnt out easier than other people. Because when you are a non-sacral being and you get into a large group of people, you can definitely burn out. Like you're kind of feeding off, so your energy center's open, so you're kind of feeding off that energy from the other people. And then also it's like, okay, like this is too much. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I've always loved a good hangout. I love hanging out with people, but I have noticed as I've, one, not drank alcohol as much, and two, respect my energy type a little bit more, I can tell when it's like, okay, it's time to go, or it's time to go to bed, or whatever. And that's okay. That is truly okay. It's good to have boundaries. It is good to have boundaries. So I would like to thank you so much for listening to this episode and listening to the podcast. I am really grateful. I'm getting close to 100 episodes, which is really exciting, and it's a big deal. That's what I'm like. How long have I been doing this? I am close to 2 years, I think, releasing one every week. I missed 1 week. And I wanted to say, I don't remember if that was after my birthday or Christmas. It was just like 1 week. Okay, otherwise, I've religiously released an episode. One, I love to do it. Two, as a manifester, my throat chakra is very activating for me, and I love to share my story that way. Storytelling is one of my gates, fun fact. And three, it just allows me to share, my perspective on things and, magnetize the people that can relate and want to learn more and continue to grow as a human being in this lifetime. So I appreciate you all so, so much, and I hope you have a magical rest of your day.